Welcome to LaLiga Insiders. I'm Alex Pareja alongside my good friends Rodrigo Faez from Madrid, Gemma Sule from Barcelona. We're going to bring you everything you need to know about the Spanish Championships. Let's take a look at the menu for today because it's super loaded with good stuff. For instance, what should Xavi do? Should he go back to 4-3-3 or should he stick with the 3-4-2-1 that he deployed at Anoeta? We need to talk about the new kids on the block at Real Madrid. What do Antonio Rudiger and Aurelien Tchouameni bring up to the table for Carlo Ancelotti? Of course, we have all the information that only our insiders could bring you, all the juicy transfer news and gossips. And of course, we're going to have some fun at the extra time. We're going to learn how to dance. But once we know all the content, let's go straight to the chase. Gemma, we're going to start with you. There's a lot of talk about Barcelona's tactics. I was surprised by the 3-4-2-1 tactical system that Xavi deployed at Anoeta instead of the classic 4-3-3. What do people think about that in Barcelona?
Hola. Well, of course, as the result was good, people are kind of happy with that system and are quite excited in maybe seeing it again soon. But I think it's too early to say what's better for Barcelona because it's only been 2 matches and none of them were great, even though the result in Real Arena, of course, was much better. But what we can explain is that Xavi and his staff are working in making the team more unpredictable, that he's got much more versatile squad than what he had the last season, and also that the kind of center defenders he has chosen, we can think that he will be using a lot these 3 defenders that we saw in Real Arena. And I'm especially talking on Araujo, Christensen, and Koundé if eventually the player is registered at some point. I think we will have a lot of fun this season, Alex. You that love tactics, I'm sure you will have so much fun. And we were watching now Lewandowski, that society we saw with Ansu Fati just behind Lewandowski. I'm afraid we will be seeing it again. And that famous 3-4-3 that Johan Cruyff created when the Dream Team, it might be something inspiring Xavi. And I think depending on the rival, he would use the traditional 4-4-3 or 4-3-3, or he will try to innovate. Actually, Alex, we talked to Xavi after that game, and I asked him, like, that was quite risky, doing for the first time on the season these 3 defenders. And he said, yeah, it's a lot of risk, but also it's being very brave, and eventually at the end gave us the result. So I'm sure we will be seeing it more.
I must say that I didn't like it because I'm a huge tactical fan and I'm obsessed by tactics, Rodri. And I didn't like it because I think that what we saw at the Real Arena, that Anoeta against Real Sociedad, was some sort of a carbon copy of Chelsea's system, of Tottenham's Hotspur system, even RB Leipzig system, and that is not Barcelona. Barcelona is usually a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3, but with wingers wide open, and we didn't see that in San Sebastián.
I agree with you, Alex, but Xavi needed to win. Otherwise, the people in the club or the people surrounding, like the fans surrounding the FC Barcelona, would be kind of disappointed by Xavi. That's why I say, okay, I understand people like you, because I do agree with you, Alex, but they needed to win. Xavi needed that win against Real Sociedad, and in that terms, not only in the game, but the result was something that he really needed, because after the draw against Rayo Vallecano, he was facing the first big chance to say, okay, we are here, we're gonna start off this project, and we now have the reinforce that we didn't have the last season. So that's why he was like, okay, after a draw against Rayo Vallecano, everyone was like, okay, do we think that Xavi is good enough to be on Barca's bench this season? So that's why he was like, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more practical, and let's skip tacticals for the next week. And I understand Xavi in this way, because he needed to reinforce the defense, and he needed something something else in the second half when Ansu Fati came into the pitch. So that's why they needed to win. They won. All the people now and all the supporters are happy. Even the board are more calmed down. And now it's time for Xavi to grow a little bit with this team and try to turn again to those 4-3-3, which for me is the ideal tactical system.
I understand your point. I get your point, Rodri, but that is not what Barcelona have been selling to us. Barcelona always had the priority of the style and then the results, and it looks like they're turning the tables and priorities. But Gemma, what should we expect this week against Valladolid, one of the teams that got promoted last season from Segunda División at the Camp Nou?
I think we should expect a more recognizable Barcelona as what we are used to. I agree with Rodri that the way to win is important, but sometimes you have to win, and Xavi knows that very well because he was a player and he suffered that last season when he was the most popular person in Barcelona, in Catalonia, in the whole fan base, and then eventually there was a Xavineta, everyone was there, but when the results were not helping, then that was gone. So it gets a time where you really need results without losing the essence. So Valladolid, it's a team that, of course, are going to try to get a draw, to get any kind of positive results. So probably Barcelona will need that open wingers you were talking about. And also Xavi, he would have had time to work a little bit better. Actually, before the Rayo Vallecano game, we could talk to Lewandowski, and he confessed us that they didn't have time to prepare that game because they were psychologically a little bit lost because they were not registered till a few hours before that game. So I expect a more recognizable team and trying to make the Camp Nou enjoy, because it was such a setback, such a disappointment that draw.
There's a couple of interesting players at Valladolid, Rodri. I'm thinking of Roque Mesa, the former Swansea midfielder, sheer quality. I'm thinking of Anwar, who scored a golazo last week. What else could Valladolid side bring to the table at the Camp Nou?
I'm in love with Gonzalo Plata. I don't know if he's going to play, but I think he's fast. He comes from Sporting de Portugal in a high transfer for a team like Valladolid, and I'm in love with Pacheta, who's the coach. I like the way he drives the team mad completely in some parts of the games, because I think Valladolid is the kind of side that every time they come into the pitch, they say, okay, we're going to try to be a collective and try to attack and defend together. This is something really good by Valladolid. But the thing is that there are some points in every Valladolid game, and I blame Pacheta in the good way, that the team goes crazy completely. It's like, okay, now Roque Mesa is attacking, and now, for example, Gonzalo Plata is left back. Something really crazy, which is not very tactical, and I understand that the coaches doesn't really like these kind of teams sometimes, because you don't know what to expect if you are the rival. But I really like, because it's a funny side to watch every
So let's see what Valladolid are able to do at the Camp Nou. Real Madrid are traveling to Barcelona, but they are facing Espanyol, the other club of the city. Rodri, what can we expect about that? And especially, I want to talk before we get into the details of the matchup. I want to talk with you about the only two new faces at the Real Madrid's dressing room, Aurelien Tchouameni and Antonio Rudiger. Are they having an impact already on Carlo Ancelotti's side?
Yeah, they both look like they've been playing for Real Madrid for ages. I've just talked this morning to a teammate who's playing with both, and he told me both of them, they got adapted really fast, really quick. For example, Tchouameni is someone that's going to be very useful for Ancelotti, because he's young. He's been called up by France national team more than 8 times, and that's why Real Madrid paid the amount of money for this youngster from France. And after Casemiro departure, he has a little bit more confidence, and that's why Ancelotti is saying him that he's gonna play, that he's gonna be the person and the future for Real Madrid. And then you got Rudiger, who is maybe the opposite case to Tchouaméni, because he's more experienced guy. He can give some different options for Ancelotti, because he can go even as a left or right back. He can play with Militao or with Alaba, and he can allow Alaba to go and play or fight for the left back with Mendy. That's why, you know, so many options that Ancelotti didn't have last season. That is going to be really positive for Real Madrid, and that's why for me Real Madrid has reinforced a little bit better than last season, and that's why for me Real Madrid is the main favorite to win the title by the end of this season.
Quality over quantity at Real Madrid. Just two new kids on the block, Gemma. It looks like, yeah, Tchouaméni has to step up now that Casemiro is gone, and it looks to me like Rudiger is some sort of an upgraded version of Nacho, a Swiss Army knife for Carleto Ancelotti.
Yeah, well, I think they are two great reinforcements, especially Rudiger, of course. It was amazing how Real Madrid dealt with the transition last season after losing on the same season. Sergio Ramos and Varane, they did great. They win the double, they win the La Liga and the Champions League. That's amazing. So the signing of such a talented, reliable defender as Rudiger, it can only make things better. About Tchouaméni, of course, I think it's something different. I think there are a lot of fireworks in Madrid. Maybe it's just been two games in La Liga. We need to have more patience with a player who is 22 years old. That he's of course very talented, but he haven't got the time, maybe because with this Casemiro departure, he will have much more pressure in his shoulders, but he's talented. I don't know, probably Rodri knows better if he would have arrived or not if Mbappe was finally coming, but it's a huge challenge for him to arrive in Real Madrid after one of the three holy sign trinity in the midfield. One of the key pieces is gone, like Casemiro.
You made such a great point, Gemma. I was thinking of Guns N' Roses, that song. All we need is just a little patience. That's exactly what they need with Aurelien Tchouaméni. Rodri, what to expect now about that visit to the RCD Stadium in Barcelona? People used to think that that's an easy fixture for Real Madrid, but it hasn't been over the last years.
It's going to be a pretty tough game for Real Madrid. I expect a very difficult game, like, for example, the one that faced Real Madrid against Almeria. I know that, Vigo, if you see the result, you would say, oh, it was an easy win for Real Madrid, but it wasn't, in fact. So that's why I think it's going to be a tough game, because Espanyol really needs a win, a prestige win against Real Madrid, because in the last seasons, Real Madrid struggled a little bit against Espanyol, and they have renewed Sergi Darder, which is for me the best movement in the summer transfer window for Espanyol till 2026. And I do believe that Espanyol needs a great win against Real Madrid to say we are here and we're gonna make it even better than last year. So that's why we switched the coach. That's why we have Diego Martinez. I am in love with Diego Martinez because I really like the way he drove Granada to the Europe League, and I really like the way he drove in so many seasons ago Sevilla reserve team, and I think he deserves like a reward to win Real Madrid. I think that it would be something really positive for him individually, and something really great positively in Espanyol terms. So that's why it's going to be a really difficult game.
Espanyol really need a victory. They haven't started off well the championship, and their best player, their star Raúl de Tomás, RDT, hasn't played yet because he's trying to force his way out of Espanyol. Let's move on. Let's go to the juicy part. Let's go to the insiders. Gemma, we need to start with you because there's big news coming from Barcelona. I thought that I would never say this quote, but Umtiti has left the building.
Yes, Alex, but I'm sorry to say that it's not for good. He will come back at the end of, because this is a loan. This is a loan to Serie A team, Lecce. It's official eventually after long, long talks, and this man, Matteo Alemany, managed to make this Italian club pay a little bit of the salary. This move doesn't, we have to say that it's not a move trying to find financial fair play. Of course, they wanted, but it was not possible because the physical condition of Umtiti makes that no team wants to put money on the table. So this is just a sport operation, non-financial, because Xavi wasn't counting on him, and he didn't want another player there in the trainings, even though he would not play. So Barcelona will pay most of his salary, and it will depend on bonuses depending on the games he's able to play in Italy. Let's talk about more juicy stuff. Talking to financial, we have to talk of Aubameyang, of course, because he's right now the number one player where Barcelona wants to have money. We have to say this is a financial operation because Xavi is counting on him. He praised it so much. A player that has been a great operation for Barcelona. He came in the last winter market as a free agent. He decided to take a pay cut, and he was making goals. He scored at the Bernabeu, and he really was made such a big impact. But with the finances of Barcelona, they haven't been able to register Koundé yet, so they need to make money. They are talking to Chelsea, no agreement yet, but it's the operation who is most likely to be happening in the next few hours. They are still working on Serginho Dest. He could go to Man United. They are talking with Memphis Depay, Juventus. It seems to be a stop-and-go operation there. And, of course, on Braithwaite, we will see what is officially the next few hours.
Apparently, Braithwaite doesn't want to leave. I don't know what's the position of two Real Madrid players that don't know their future yet. Rodri, we're talking about Dani Ceballos and Marco Asensio, both international for Spain. The World Cup is just around the corner. They need playing time. What's going to happen with them?
Looks like Ceballos is going to stay at the end, after all these talks during the summer window transfer. We know that Ancelotti really count on him because by the end of last season, Ancelotti said in a press conference that Dani Ceballos deserved more minutes than the minutes that he actually had. So that's why he talked to the player in July and he said, if you stay here, despite the arrival of Tchouaméni, you're going to have minutes because you're going to play in a different position than Tchouaméni because I see you more like a Kroos or a Modric style player. So that's why unless something really wrong and unexpected happens in the next 6 days, he's going to stay at Real Madrid. And then on the other hand, you got Marco Asensio, which is one of the main names of Real Madrid window transfer. Marco Asensio at this moment keeps at the same position that he has been in the past 2 months. He doesn't have offers, he only has some interest that doesn't really like him, but he expects to something interesting arrives in the next week, because we remember next week window transfer is going to be over, so that's why he needs to be a little bit fast, and he knows that some people, like even for example Manchester United, our partners from Relevo, reported today that Man United are expected to make a bid for Marco Asensio, who could convince the player to leave Real Madrid. Let's see what happens, but Dani Ceballos is going to stay. Looks like he's going to stay. And Marco Asensio, Ancelotti wants him to stay, but he's still waiting for some big offer to leave Real Madrid.
We're just 1 week away from the closing of this summer transfer window, and we need to talk about another summer saga at Barcelona. I think it's the hardest operation of all that Barcelona have done this summer. Gemma, we need to talk about Bernardo Silva. We saw him yesterday playing at the Camp Nou in that friendly for fighting against ALS in honor of Juan Carlos Unzué. That great spectacle at the Camp Nou. Barcelona fans saw him live at the Camp Nou. Is it doable? What are the hopes at Barcelona for signing the Portuguese midfielder?
Yeah, it was such an emotional night. Right now, it's such a pipe dream for Xavi, especially, and for Barcelona. Let's remember that we started talking about Bernardo Silva much before than Lewandowski, Rafinha, and all that operations that were done. I think the big difference here is, apart from the team we're talking about, Man City, is that in those cases, Lewandowski and Rafinha, the player put a lot of pressure on their clubs to be able to finish in Barcelona. And in Bernardo Silva, it's a little bit more complex. I think that the operation by now it's over. You cannot say that until it's over, but Man City make it pretty clear on Wednesday at the Camp Nou that operation, there's no talk. There was no official offer because, of course, Barcelona couldn't get the money to try to bid, and they know Man City is not a club that like to sell, and the player didn't put enough pressure to make that exit happen. But let's leave it like an open-ended story. Yeah, it looks like it's almost closed by now, but there was a lot of love messages from Xavi to the player. The player loved Barcelona, we know that. And Pep Guardiola, in a funny, tricky way, he at some point, after saying that he wants him to stay and he thinks he will stay, he said he likes Barcelona very much. So I think that soap opera is it's the end of the series, not the series, the season, but not the series. I think we will be talking much more about Bernardo Silva.
Quoting Lenny Kravitz, it ain't over till it's over. And this saga is not over yet. But my friends, La Liga is not only Barcelona and Real Madrid. There's plenty other powerful teams. For instance, Atletico de Madrid, Rodri, is the squad ready, or are we expecting some players leaving the dressing room at the Metropolitano?
I was amazed this morning, Alex, when a guy from Atletico Madrid, one of my sources, told me like, okay, Rodri, wait, because we might have any kind of movements in the following days. And I was like, are you going to sign anyone? And he was like, no, but maybe someone leaves the team. And I was completely amazed by the way he told me, because he still thinks that there are going to be some exit from Atletico de Madrid. We don't really know who is going to leave Real Madrid. If finally there is someone who's going to leave, but there is like like they are afraid of a last hour movement in Atletico de Madrid. For example, I imagine like Simeone now at this time has 5 strikers. He has Morata, he has João Felix, Antoine Griezmann, Ángel Correa, and Mateus Cunha. And this is the very first time in Simeone's era that he has 5 strikers, and maybe one could leave, or maybe Yannick Carrasco, who is very interested in him from Man United. I don't know who's going to leave, and we don't really know if, in fact, someone is going to leave, but this is what my guy at Atletico Madrid told me this morning, and I was kind of, shocked a little bit. And I don't know if Simeone expects any kind of movement, but it's going to be really, really tricky this last hour transfer market for Atletico Madrid.
That would be a huge blow for Diego Pablo Simeone, who hopes to keep this super squad. Remember, by the way, that all the games that are played off in La Liga, you can only watch them if you live in the United States on ESPN Plus. 380 games. Gemma, I will keep dropping musical references. We need to talk about the player who could be playing that classic The Clash hit. Should I stay or should I go? What's in Pablo Torres' head? What's his dilemma now?
So he's eventually staying, but we're quickly explaining that story to show one of the most busiest, complex transfer markets on Barcelona history. And there's been quite a lot of nerves and tension between the coach and the sports direction and the board of members. And Pablo Torre somehow illustrates that he was such a young, talented player who arrived. It's, of course, a future operation, but the goal at the beginning was him staying in Barcelona. But then, with so many reinforcements, it was pretty clear that he wouldn't be playing that much. So the player and Xavi talked. The player wanted to go on a loan to his former club, Racing de Santander, and Xavi wanted to make the player happy. And Xavi said that in a press conference publicly. He said, I think the best thing is him going on a loan. We have to discuss that. The sport direction were not very happy with that because they had other plans. They think the best thing is Pablo Torre to stay, to train sometimes in the first team and to play in the second team in Barca B. And there was some, that's what our sources tell us, some nerves and kind of a little divorce with that decision there. Just to illustrate what we were saying, it's crucial hours. The next few days, Barcelona, there are a lot of nerves, tension to try to balance the books, to register Koundé. Let's see what happens with Marco Alonso and with the rest of the departures. We, of course, will keep it here.
Rodri, speaking of working around the clock, Barcelona are not the only club that are trying to register their players before the transfer window closes. We need to talk about Betis. They are in trouble. They have legends like Joaquin, like Guardado, still waiting to be registered this season for La Liga.
They have 5 players without being registered yet, and I'm naming them: Claudio Bravo, Andrés Guardado, Luis Enrique, Joaquin, y William José. Those 3 players are not registered. Imagine that you have a contract with Betis, like these 5 players. Imagine that you are in shape and you are happy in the city of Seville, and you are happy with your family and you are training every day. But suddenly the club has struggled in the economical situation and is not able to register yet to play. Anyway, just in case, because we know, at least what my sources tell me from Betis, they are working hard to try to fix this, and they are working hard to try to register before the game of this weekend against Osasuna, to register these players. Just in case, Pellegrini has included all of them in the list, in the squad list for this weekend's game. So let's see if finally the club, which is kind of optimistic in register at least 2 players, is able to make it. But we don't really know, because that really doesn't depend on Betis, because it just depends on La Liga financial control. It's a pity. I know Betis is struggling, and I know that all the players are kind of disappointed, but this is the way things are now in order to control the book balances of any clubs in Spain.
It's a tricky situation for Betis. Remember that Manuel Pellegrini's side are hosting Osasuna. We're taping this segment on Friday afternoon here in the United States. They're less than, a little bit more than 24 hours away from that clash. Remember that you can watch that game and any other game of La Liga on ESPN Plus this season. You live here in the United States. We're finishing our time, but the fourth official just raised the extra time moment, and we need to talk again about Antonio Rudiger, but he's making an impact. I don't know if on the pitch, but on the dressing room for sure. Let's see what Antonio Rudiger tried to teach Luka Modric on the training session. He looked like Phil Collins in that Genesis video. I can dance. I don't know if that's a good move or not.
Maybe it's the movement that he makes when someone says like, "Hey, I got pineapple pizza. You want it?" It's like, okay,
no, that's the movement that I do when you say pineapple pizza.
But I think if there's someone who can teach something to Modric, is Rudiger, because he was last season the fastest player in the Premier League, 22.8 miles per hour. He ran more than Mo Salah. So I think he's allowed to show something to such a great star like Modric. In a funny way. That's
you would think that it would be the other way around. Modric teaching things to Rudiger, but it's the way it is. Rodri from Madrid, Gemma from Barcelona, thank you so much for your La Liga insights, and thank you everyone for watching this. Remember that you can follow all the La Liga action on ESPN Plus, all their games here in the United States displayed only on ESPN Plus. This has been La Liga Insiders. See you next time.